Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So you've given us this stack of reviews, all looking really closely at that final SmackDown, the big go-home show before WrestlePalooza.
Yep, exactly. And our mission today is basically to sift through all that, the reactions and grades. Did WWE actually manage to build up that crucial excitement for the Paper Live event?
Or did it just get bogged down?
Yeah.
The sources mentioned things like filler, ads.
Right, filler, mixed messages, maybe even some confusion around production. We're looking for those key takeaways, Did they stick the landing with the audience before the big show?
Okay. Because the sources, they've got grades, some pretty sharp insights, and honestly, quite a bit of frustration bubbling up.
It seems like it. And this deep dive might uncover a bit of a weird situation. The wrestling itself, often pretty good, apparently.
But the bigger picture stuff,
Yeah.
the booking decisions, the logistics, that's maybe where things went sideways.
That seems to be the main tension in the reviews, yeah. It undermined the whole effort. So we probably have to start where the show started, trying to create some chaos.
With Brock Lesnar, right at the top.
Immediately, his dramatic, pretty unhinged opener.
Yeah, the review describes him needing to look like a monster before facing John Cena. And that visual, Lesnar just comes out backstage.
Yeah.
Lifts Michael Cole.
So picks him up.
Yeah, and carries him bodily to the ring. I mean, that's definitely one way to kick things off.
It certainly grabs your attention, no doubt. And then Corey Graves, the other announcer, he tries to step in.
Right, looking concerned, and Lesnar just takes him out.
With an F5.
2 F5s.
Yeah.
Then smashes the prime display.
Oh, yeah, the sponsor display. Classic.
And delivers that line. It's D-Day tomorrow, I'm coming for blood. Chillin' stuff.
Sounds intense. But, hang on, the grade was only a B-.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. Why knock points off for that?
Well, the critique wasn't really about how Lesnar performed it. They said it was short and sweet, which is good. It was more about the target.
I mean,
Like, okay, the goal is to intimidate John Cena, this huge star, right? Does beating up a couple of commentators, guys who haven't wrestled in years.
good point.
Does that really make Lesnar look more dangerous to Cena? The source kind of wondered if maybe, taking out an active tag team or some up-and-comer.
Would have landed better, made the threat feel more direct.
Exactly, a more strategic use of his, monster presence before the big match.
Okay, that makes sense. Strategic violence. So from that chaos, let's shift to the more emotional build. The final face-off. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre.
The contract signing, yeah.
If Lesnar was B- unhinged, this one landed lower. A C+.
Yeah, and this was meant to be the final sell for the main event, but according to basically all the sources, it fell pretty flat.
An anticlimax. How did it start?
Innocently enough, really. Rhodes came out, tried to play the sentiment card, reminded McIntyre it was their 15-year anniversary since winning tag titles together.
Okay, trying to connect on some history.
But McIntyre wasn't biting, he just kept hammering his point.
Yeah.
He wants a legit shot, no funny business, no interference. Called Rhodes a company man.
Which is good character work. Sets up their dynamic, the rebel versus the establishment figure.
Totally. The character stuff was fine. The problem was the ending. McIntyre attacks Rhodes.
Right.
And everyone's expecting that big spot. The announce table moment. Right. It's practically tradition for a go-home show.
What?
He stopped. He literally pulled back from putting him through the table.
He just changed his mind mid-attack.
Yeah. Said something like he was going to take what means the most to Rhodes away instead. Then just gave him a stomp.
Oof. So when you needed that big exclamation point.
He deliberately dialed it back. It just completely sucked the air out of the segment, apparently.
And the crowd felt it.
Oh, yeah. The reviewer pointed that out. Said even the live audience seemed kind of disengaged, quiet. For your final main event hype, that's not what you want.
No, you need that explosion. I got to see this.
Yeah.
Feeling. Stopping short just feels weak. Like the challenger isn't fully committed.
Exactly. A real missed opportunity there.
Okay, so the big angle fell flat. Let's talk about where the show actually did well, according to the sources.
Yeah.
The wrestling itself.
Right, the in-ring action. And there was one match that everyone seemed to agree on.
The guaranteed recipe for success.
That's the one. Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title. Strong B+ grade.
So the sources are saying if you, the listener, are short on time, this is the bit to watch from the whole 3 hours.
Absolutely. Clear consensus. It showed that, when they just let talented people wrestle a good match, it works.
And they gave it time. Went through commercials.
Yep. Lasted through 2 commercial breaks, which always signals it's important. Hayes and Zayn apparently had a really competitive match. back and forth.
Finishing.
Totally clean. Zayn wins with the Blue Thunder Bomb to retain.
Nice. And what about The Miz? He was involved somehow.
He was on commentary, being super enthusiastic, cheering for Hayes. Brought a lot of energy, apparently. But, and this was highlighted as a positive, he didn't get involved physically.
Oh, interesting. So no interference, just letting the match speak for itself, even with an invested party right there.
Exactly. It just sold the quality of the wrestling on its own terms, which is refreshing sometimes.
And any specific moments in the match?
They mentioned Hayes hitting his springboard leg drop, which is apparently tricky to pull off cleanly, and just generally the Miz's energy adding to the atmosphere.
So yeah, a really solid, satisfying title match. That's the kind of thing a go-home show needs, right? Break up the talk segments.
Definitely. But then, balancing that out, you also had the other kind of match, the pure spectacle squash.
Ah, the Bronze. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed.
Yeah, them versus a team called Fraxium.
And this was quick.
Lightning fast, apparently. Total squash. Fraxium barely got any offense in. It was just designed to make Breaker and Reed look dominant, like beasts.
Which they did.
Yeah, Reed got the pin with his finisher, the Tsunami. It did its job, got a C grade. Functional, but not exactly must-see.
Got it. Serve the purpose, move on.
Right. And speaking of memorable, but maybe for the wrong reasons, the sources mentioned a funny little detail about Paul Heyman.
Oh, during a promo.
Yeah, backstage promo. Apparently he was holding his phone in a really weird, kind of awkward way, like a little kid might hold it.
Seriously. That's the kind of detail that sticks with you more than the actual promo sometimes.
Isn't it, though? Those little production quirks.
Okay, what else in terms of matches? The women's tag titles were defended too, right?
Were. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss kept the belts, beating Alba Fire and Chelsea Green. Got a B grade.
So, decent match.
Decent, yeah. Had some fun moments, but the outcome felt pretty predictable, according to the reviews.
Anyone stand out?
Alba Fire, actually. The sources noted she really threw herself into it, even though her regular tag partner, Isla Dawn, had been released recently.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Yeah, she had some cool spots, like slamming Bliss into the ring post, doing a spin on the apron, really put in the effort.
Okay, so some solid wrestling, a main event angle that didn't quite connect. Now we need to get into the big criticism, the thing that seemed to hang over the whole show.
Right, the systemic stuff, the booking choices, and the logistical problems that just seemed to undermine the whole point, hyping the PLE.
Where did that start?
A good example is how they set up the next women's championship angle. It was a very standard segment, got a C grade. You know the type.
Paint by numbers?
Exactly. Nia Jax comes out, calls herself the alpha female. Tiffany Stratton interrupts with her own claims. Then Jade Cargill comes out.
The big star entrance.
Yeah, beats up some officials to show her power, gets held back. Classic setup for a big match.
So what was the problem? Sounds standard.
The problem was when the match was booked for, Nick Holdis, the authority figure, comes out and makes the match official. A women's title triple threat.
Okay. For WrestlePalooza.
No! For next week's SmackDown. The show after WrestlePalooza.
Wait, what? They booked a big title match for after the Paper Live event. On the go-home show.
Yep. Talk about mixed messages, right?
Yeah.
The whole point of this show is to make WrestlePalooza feel like the be-all, end-all, the absolute can't-miss event.
But if you announce a potentially PLE-level title match is happening for free on TV the following week,
You instantly devalue the PLE. You're telling the audience, hey, WrestlePalooza is important, but maybe not that important. We've got big stuff happening next week, too. It makes the PLE feel like just another stop.
wow. Okay, I see why the reviewers felt the show didn't make WrestlePalooza feel special. That completely undercuts the urgency.
It absolutely validates that final verdict from the sources. The show felt dominated by filler, by ads, and it just failed to make the PLE feel like a big deal. It felt like, quoting here, any other event on the calendar.
And that failure wasn't just in the booking storylines, was it? There was a huge production issue, too.
Oh, the big one, the logistical mess. WWE's been shifting how people watch their big events, their PLEs, right? Moving distribution models.
Yeah, involving the ESPN app this time.
Exactly. And apparently the way they communicated this was, well, a disaster.
How so?
It was just a massive communications fumble. The sources say WWE went overboard with ads during the go-home show, trying to explain how to use the new ESPN app service to watch WrestlePalooza the next day.
Okay. Trying to be helpful, maybe?
Maybe, but they apparently just confused everyone. Overly technical instructions, talk about signups, approved providers. People were lost.
And the worst part?
They conveniently forgot to mention the cost.
No. On the night before the event, They're telling you how to watch, but not how much it might cost you if you don't already have the right subscription.
Precisely. So fans were left scrambling, confused about the process, and completely in the dark about the potential price tag just hours before showtime.
That's bad. You're trying to sell people on spending money, but you make the process confusing and hide the price.
It's like making the checkout line at a store incredibly complicated and refusing to tell people the total until they've already waited an hour. It's a fundamental failure of sales and marketing. Corporate stuff getting in the way of the actual show.
So, bad booking signals, confusing sales pitches. What other filler contributed to that feeling of just another show?
Oh, you know the usual suspects. There was apparently a really long video package for Cena and Lesnar, stuff people have mostly seen before.
Just filling time.
Exactly. And a standard backstage brawl segment, Damian Priest throwing Kit Wilson through a wall. Again, fills time, looks okay, but doesn't really build anticipation for the main event stories.
Right, it's just content.
Pretty much.
Huh.
But maybe the best indicator of how much time they needed to kill, the most random piece of filler,
Lay it on me.
a backstage segment where R-Truth and the Motor City Machine Guns just confirmed that they're all big fans of the Great British Bake Off.
Get out, seriously. On the WrestlePalooza go-home show.
Apparently so. A delightful little character moment maybe, but completely out of left field and, not exactly selling the intensity of the upcoming PLE.
Wow, okay. So let's wrap this up for the listener. Summing up this deep dive, the final push for WrestlePalooza, this SmackDown show.
Yeah.
That sounds like it was really hampered.
Heavily. Dominated by segments just killing time and this really damaging confusion about how and why you should even watch the main event tomorrow.
But there was that one bright spot.
Yeah, that Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes match. Genuinely good wrestling, clean finish, but it kind of got lost amidst all the other issues.
The booking missteps, the logistical nightmare with the app.
Exactly. So if you measure the show's success purely by did it create that last-minute buzz? Did it make people feel they absolutely had to buy WrestlePalooza?
Right.
Then, outside of maybe that one mid-card match, the reviews suggest it was pretty much a systemic failure. It didn't do its main job.
Okay. So the final provocative thought we want to leave you, the listener, with is this. If the whole point of a go-home show is to erase any doubt, build maximum excitement, and convince you to open your wallet for the PLE, which mistake hurts more?
Is it the main event angle feeling kind of tame, like the Rhodes-McIntyre segment, which signals maybe the stakes aren't that high?
Or is it the messy, confusing production side? The ads that make it hard to even figure out how to pay for the show you might now be less excited about. Which failure is ultimately more damaging?
Something to think about, definitely. Especially as you're trying to figure out those streaming apps.
And hey, if you found this deep dive useful, maybe take a second. Subscribe, rate the show, maybe share it with someone else who follows this stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.